So this past weekend, an old bandmate who moved to the UK about 3 years ago came back for a visit. And all the band members and a bunch of our friends went out to a place in the countryside to have a bit of a party and play some tunes. I decided to bring along a very compact drum setup, using an eDRUMin 8 and an RME Babyface hooked up to a headless Mac Mini running main stage. It was even processing an electric guitar and vocals. I just patched the RME into the second input of my friend's acoustic amp, used a very custom MIDI controller to set levels, and it worked perfectly. In terms of drums, I had kick, snare, hi-hat, toms on a trigger bar, and this ride. But after about 30 seconds of playing, I quickly realized that I needed a crash. Now, some rides, when you hit the edge hard enough, they start to crash. But that's not the case for a lot of the rides in Superior Drummer. But that's exactly what I wanted. And that's when it occurred to me that I could use a velocity gate. A velocity gate lets a pad trigger different notes depending on how hard you hit it. In my case, I wanted the edge of the cymbal to trigger ride samples when it was hit softly and crash when it was hit hard. Luckily, I could access the Mac Mini through my phone, and after a few minutes of mostly navigating some bugs, which I have since fixed, I had it working and instantly my modest kit felt a lot bigger. And so in this video, I thought I'd show you how to set up a velocity gate in case you need to use one too. All right, to get this working, the first thing we need to do is put our device into advanced mode. So click on the cog in the sidebar and select advanced mode. And now with our cymbal selected, we're going to change its output to custom notes. And then hidden behind this cog wheel, we can switch from banks to gates. All right, now there are two levels of gates here. Level 1 is for the lower velocity hits, and level 2 is for the higher velocity hits. And then for each articulation, we have an independent velocity gate threshold. I'll just drag this one up. And if we hit the pad softly, it's going to trigger the level 1 note. And if we hit the pad hard, it's going to trigger the level 2 note. Now for this use case, we only want to affect the edge note. Basically, we want the cymbal to mostly function as a ride, except for when we hit the edge hard. We'll start by selecting level 1 and loading the ride notes from the drum map. Now, if you wanted to use a different drum map, you could select it here. We want Superior Drummer, so we're going to leave it as is. And I'm just going to click Ride. Now for level 2, we also want ride notes except for this edge. The edge note we want to take from the crash, so 57. So I'm going to click on Ride again, and now I'm just going to change this to 57. All right, close out of there. Now I'm just going to turn up the threshold a tiny bit. So when we hit the cymbal softly, we should get ride samples, and when we hit it hard, we should get crash. We don't need to worry about the bow and the bell. Both levels are using the same notes, so they're effectively off. This was the first time I found a use for this feature, but I suspect it's handy in other situations too. Anyone else use them? See you in the next one.